Hey guys, Analog Man here for another late night deck profile, and as you can see from the thumbnail and the new mat that I just recently got from a friend, I managed to get second place with a Metalgarurumon deck. Surprisingly, the deck can still basically do the exact same things it's been doing since BT9, albeit a little bit slower, but it's still pretty decent no matter what, which is honestly pretty solid. Um, the only honestly there's only like a few cards that have been changed, but aside from that the deck has relatively remained the same. The only downside now is that we don't have access to 4 copies of the Werguru promo, which really sucks because then we can't go for multiple hits. But surprisingly, the build that I have so far, it can go for up to 3 attacks per turn if you have the cards in hand. Basically it does the exact same thing that it used to. It's just slightly different, but you won't get that extra 4th attack. That's about it. But usually you should be able to basically set up, bounce all their stuff, then set up for next turn and go for game basically. Almost every time I've played this deck, I've been able to do that consistently. So really solid how this deck works still. But there are a few changes that I do want to show in the deck profile. But yeah, let's get into it so you guys can see it. So first off, we are running the 4 Sunomons from BT5. This one is still very solid to this day. We haven't really gotten a new blue Sunomon that actually is good enough. Compared to every other blue egg that's come out, this is basically the best one for the deck still, giving that plus 1000, which helps boost over a lot of things because we still do not have literal jamming in this deck, which really sucks. But, you know, that's just how Garuru is. But yeah, that's all the eggs we run for now. For level 3s, we run 4 copies of the Gabumon from BT5. This one is still your main searcher, so you have to run at least 4, and really solid that I finally managed to get 4 foils, thanks to my friend. And yeah, it's just a really solid hard play. It's really cool to play it off of Nokia. It's really cool to just hard play and pass them to 1. It's just all around really good for a rookie. Then we run 4 Gabumon X because after you hard play this and it stays alive or in raising, you just evolve for 0, and then if it's out here, you get an extra search basically, and you get an X antibody off that search if you hit it, so really solid. So you have to run at least 4. It is a pretty solid rookie, so yeah. Then we run 3 of the BT1 Gabumon because, you know, on play, draw 1. That's pretty solid. Maybe put him to 1 or 2. Really, that's honestly really great, honestly. But yeah, we run 3 copies because we want to draw as much as possible and play. Of course, I mentioned playing off of Nokia specifically, so really cool. Then for the last 2 rookies, we run the Gabumon from Starter Deck 8, the 04 Starter Deck. This one's really good. Originally, I opted for just 12 rookies. I was running the EX1 Gabumon, but it only searches out Tamers, and in this deck, you don't really run that many Tamers anymore, unless you're going for a different build that negates options, which I don't, because you're basically just swinging as fast as possible to win the game, basically. This one, giving that extra 1000, basically allows it to survive for another turn, so I feel this is more solid, and running 13 rookies instead of 12 is better because you consistently see your rookies no matter what compared to other builds. But yeah, that's all the rookies we run. For champions, we run 4 of the Garuru promo, the 7th one specifically. This one's still really solid to this day. The fact that it's when attacking effect is completely not once per turn. So with how the deck unsuspends so many times, you're guaranteed 2 to 3 card draws every single time, which is insane because then you load up your hand to basically make this effect go off, because a lot of the effects depend on you having 8 or more cards, so that's just how it is. And yeah, you have to run 4 because this guy is just your main draw power as well when you're swinging with it to set up for basically a level 6 or an Omni, so you got to, or and technically for next turn, because if your guy dies, you have another stack basically for next turn, which is what this guy is going to help you do by drawing as much as possible. Then we run 4 Garuru X because this guy grants basically protection. He also digivolves for 0 on top of any Garurumon. So basically, you're guaranteed to basically survive the battle no matter what, as long as you have 2 of the same level underneath or underneath your source. So really solid. You have to run 4. This guy is one of your main protection cards. Then for the last 3 champions, we run 3 of the BT5 because sometimes you just want to evolve for 1 and pass them the 1, or you evolve it here for 2 and you give that plus 1000 later on when you go into your level 5. So really solid. You run. I'm running 11 level 4s, which is fine. Most run 10, but I feel that extra one, just like with the rookies, it helps you see it more often. There have been matches before that, before I did this change, that I just did not see level 4 sometimes. I just couldn't see it, which is insane. So I opted to add one more just in case, and that actually helped the deck speed up way more. But yeah, that's all the level 4 champions we have. For level 5s, we run 3 Were-Garurus from the EX1. This is one of the new additions to the deck that a lot of people have been trying out. I honestly really like this, but I would honestly take out one and maybe put one more Sagittarius, because mainly because Sagittarius gives more protection. Sometimes you just don't get the Garuru X, so you can at least bank on having the other one, which is really solid. This one's really cool. Whenever you Digivolve, you get to draw one, and then when attacking, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, you gain 1 memory, which is basically like 99% of the time. So when you swing and evolve into Were-Garuru X, you're basically guaranteed. You basically evolve with the X antibody, then you gain the memory no matter what. So it's really solid, and it's, I don't know, just really nice. Honestly, like the effect, it works pretty well. Then 3 Were-Garuru X's, because of course, evolve for 0 on any Were-Garuru. And the fact that when it unsuspends when Digivolving, and it bounces a level 4, so that can actually take away their blocker. Certain decks are still running level 4 blockers, so this helps a lot against them. And the fact that he's 8,000, so with the boost, he can potentially go up to 10,000 swinging for like 2 checks if you have the other promo underneath. Then we run, of course, the one promo Were-Garuru. It really sucks that we can only run one copy, but at least, we still have one copy to use. And when you get this, you just go off. You just punch through their security, especially if they don't have any options, or their deck is mostly Digimon. You just swing in with this and you do a lot of damage with him. So really powerful card. You have to still run at least one. Then we run one Were-Garuru Sagittarius mode. As I said, I really want to bump this up to 1 by taking out one of these, because it basically counts as a Were-Garuru anyway. So you might as well just have one extra, because this guy giving protection is really crucial sometimes, and occasionally bouncing that level 3 can really help too. So I honestly would opt for maybe one more after the tournament. So really solid. That's all for the level 5s. For level 6s, we run 3 of the Metalgarurumon X, because he is your main guy. He unsuspends when Digivolving. He becomes a blocker. He bounces something when he unsuspends too. And then if you block on your opponent's turn and he survives, you unsuspend and bounce their lowest cost too. And if they don't have protection like Greymon, they're basically screwed at that point. So really strong. Then we run one Metalgaruru from EX1, because he can reduce his cost, and it makes it so this guy's only 1 cost when you evolve, so really solid to run at least 1. His other effect doesn't really come up as often, but sometimes it actually does, especially if you're running into a deck that has on deletion like Dark Seraphi, or maybe Zwart Defeat, or even Ruin Mode. You can actually use this to bottom deck it, and then they can't activate their effects basically. So really strong. Yeah. And then for the last level 6, we run one Garurumon. This guy did not come up at all. I honestly did not draw him, and I didn't really need him half the time, but he is very strong. The new Garuru from EX4 is very powerful. When Digivolving, you can just return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower. But if your opponent has already overextended and gotten 8 cards in their hand, this will bounce a level 6 or higher. So this can take out a level 7 easily, and it can even bounce Quartzmon. So really strong how powerful this is. And then really cool, whenever an effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, if you have a Tamer on board, you can return one of your opponent's level 3. So if your opponent tries to get more cards, like through an evolution, like let's say they evolve, like they're running X antibody and they evolve into like a Gabu X or an Agu X, you bounce that card if they do it. So it's really cool. This guy is actually so much better than his original version, because his original version only basically bounced level 4 or lower, but now with his extra effect, you can actually punish your opponent for overextending. So really strong. I highly recommend at least running 1 copy. I was running Magna X originally, but he was just kind of there to stall the game out. I feel this guy actually has more of an impact. And of course, him being a Garuru means that he can work with a lot of the search, because basically it's just whenever you search a Garuru in its name, so you can actually get the card. So really strong. Then, yeah, that's basically all the level 6s. For level 7s, we only run 2, specifically 2. We run one Omni Blitz. and we run one Omni X antibody from BT10. This one is to go for extra game. Then this one is to basically remove problems on the board and mess up their security. If they have any bombs and security to deal with you, you basically just make it go away, and then next turn you go for a game, basically. So you have to run at least one of each to see results, basically. The rest of the deck is just options and tamers, so let's get into the options. We are, of course, running 4 blue memory boosts. I honestly might bump this down to 3 just because I want to fit in one more Sorai. Sorai came in really clutch because it helps remove sources from Greymon and Machine Dramon, which I dealt with. So this actually stops them from doing any of their protection effects sometimes because you can remove the crucial card that is giving them protection. So I feel running one more of this would actually be much, much better because then it would allow you to basically win the game without having to basically deal with their protection stuff. But yeah. Then we run, of course, 3x antibodies. I know some decks are running only 2, but I feel it's more solid to have 3 because that way you see this as often as possible and you're always swinging with one of these and evolving into this. So I feel this is more solid to run at 3. Then we, originally this was 2 Cool Boys, but switching on to Davis felt so much better. I got to set my memory every time to 10 without having to rely on blue memory boost. And because of blue memory boost, I just had extra memory half the time instead of having to struggle with it. So I highly recommend running 2 Davises because not only does it set your memory to 3, but also searches you one blue card, which is basically every, or blue Digimon. So basically every Digimon in this except for Omni, which is fine. And then 1 Nokia because you can hard play this, play a Gabu, search, then evolve this, or you can do that and use it to reduce the cost of a Weregaruru or one of your level 6s, so really solid to run at least 1. And yeah, that's basically the profile. This deck, as I said, it still performs very well. It does the almost exact same things that it used to in BT9 up to BT12. Even with the restriction, this deck is still very strong. It's still powerful, just like Greymon. It has its counters. It has its strengths, you know, all that stuff. Still a very solid deck no matter what. Anyway, the deck, I highly recommend taking this as a template, as I usually mention, because this deck still has a lot of potential, especially now as of recording. We know that we are getting the ace cards in BT13. We are also getting a new starter deck in October, and we are also getting new support with EX4. So we basically have nowhere to go but up with this deck because potentially we will be getting a new Metalgarurumon X and possibly a new Gabumon line that is both blue and purple, which can help basically help you thin out your deck faster because purple is all about drawing and milling out your deck, so you can basically set up as much faster than normal. And with the new ace card coming up, we also have a way to counter on our opponent's turn too. So really cool that this deck is going to get support later on, and I look forward to how this deck will finally change from what this is now and possibly improve beyond what it could do before, maybe doing more than just checking. Maybe it can do more defensive. It could maybe do like more removal, you know, because this deck doesn't really have as much removal. It's mainly just bouncing. It's not really removing it, basically. It gains more deletion effects with Ace, but aside from that, it's just mainly bouncing and deleting, so it's not really truly other removal yet. But yeah, try out this deck as a template, and as I mentioned many times, you can change it however you want because most decks always come down to personal preference. This is just how I built my deck. So for anybody who's watching, modify it however you want. Just make sure it works for you and it feels comfortable. That way you do the best you can with this deck because this deck is very strong. I still think it is tier 1. A lot of people are saying this is tier 2 because of the hit, but I feel this deck can still do the exact same thing and still catch people by surprise a lot. So try it out, see what you can do, and let me know in the comments how it went, honestly, because I wanna see this deck succeed too. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.